Imagine waking up one day and realizing that your life is almost exactly the same as it was 1 year ago. Same problems, same excuses, same dreams. You wanted to get healthier. You wanted to learn something new. You wanted to become more confident. You wanted to change your life, but somehow, nothing changed. And the scary part? You didn't fail because of one huge mistake. You failed because of hundreds of tiny choices. One more hour on your phone, one more day without starting, one more excuse, one more promise that you'll do it tomorrow. But what if tiny choices could work in the opposite direction too? What if you didn't need to completely change your life overnight? What if becoming just 1% better every day could slowly take you somewhere you never imagined? This is the story of a man named Ethan, and the tiny decision that changed everything. Ethan was 28 years old. He lived in a small apartment in Chicago. Every morning his alarm rang at 7 o'clock, and every morning Ethan hit snooze, once, twice, sometimes 5 times. He would finally get out of bed, grab his phone, and scroll through social media. He saw people getting promotions, starting businesses, traveling the world, getting in shape, living lives that looked exciting and successful. Then Ethan would look around his small apartment. The dirty dishes, the unfinished work, the bills on the table, and suddenly his own life felt very small. He would tell himself, I really need to change. But by the next day, nothing changed. Ethan had big goals. He wanted to get healthier. He wanted to start his own business someday. He wanted to read more, save more money, become more disciplined. But there was one problem. Whenever Ethan thought about changing his life, the goal felt too big. Getting healthy meant hours at the gym. Starting a business meant learning hundreds of things. Reading more meant finding time he didn't think he had. Saving money meant changing his entire lifestyle. So every goal felt impossible. And because it felt impossible, Ethan did nothing. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. And before he knew it, another year had almost passed. One cold evening, Ethan came home from work feeling exhausted. He dropped his keys on the table and sat on the couch. Then, like always, he picked up his phone. He opened social media, and there he saw an old friend. His friend Marcus. A year earlier, Marcus had been just like Ethan. Always tired, out of shape, complaining about money, talking about dreams but never doing anything. But now, Marcus looked completely different. Not like a different person overnight, but different enough that Ethan couldn't ignore it. Marcus had lost weight. He looked more confident. And according to his post, he had just launched a small online business. Ethan stared at the screen. Then he felt something painful. Jealousy. He thought, how did he do all of that in just 1 year? The next day, Ethan sent Marcus a message. He asked, be honest, what's your secret? How did you change your life? Marcus replied, I stopped trying to change everything at once. Ethan didn't understand, so they met for coffee that weekend. Ethan expected Marcus to tell him about some complicated routine, a perfect diet, a strict schedule, maybe some secret productivity system. But Marcus simply smiled and said, I just tried to become 1% better every day. Ethan laughed. That's it? Marcus nodded. That's it. Then he said something Ethan never forgot. Big changes are usually built from small actions repeated longer than most people are willing to repeat them. Marcus explained it like this. You don't have to run 5 miles tomorrow. Just walk for 10 minutes. You don't have to read 50 books this year. Just read 2 pages tonight. You don't have to become a millionaire. Start by understanding where your money goes. You don't have to completely transform your life. Just improve one small thing today. Ethan looked at him and said, but can something that small really make a difference? Marcus took a napkin and placed it on the table. He said, that's the problem. Most people don't respect small progress because they can't see the result immediately. Then Marcus continued, if you go to the gym once, you probably won't look different. If you read 1 page, you won't suddenly become smarter. If you save $10, you won't suddenly become rich. So people quit. But small actions don't work because they're impressive. They work because they can be repeated. That sentence stayed in Ethan's mind. They can be repeated. The next Monday, Ethan decided to try it. But this time he made one rule. He would not try to become a completely new person. He would only try to become 1% better. That morning, instead of spending 30 minutes scrolling through his phone in bed, he got up 5 minutes earlier. That was it. 5 minutes. At lunch, instead of eating while watching videos, he spent 10 minutes reading. After work, instead of promising himself that he would exercise for an hour, he did 10 push-ups. Just 10. Before going to bed, he looked at his expenses. For only 5 minutes. The changes were so small that Ethan almost felt ridiculous. He thought, how is this supposed to change anything? But he remembered Marcus's words. Small actions can be repeated. So Ethan repeated them the next day, and the next day, and the next. For the first 2 weeks, nothing seemed to happen. Ethan still looked the same. His bank account didn't suddenly grow. He wasn't smarter. He wasn't more successful. And one night he almost quit. He was sitting on the couch with his phone in his hand. He thought, this isn't working. I'm doing all these little things and nothing is changing. Then he remembered something Marcus had told him. The hardest part of progress is that results are often invisible before they become obvious. Ethan put his phone down and did his 10 push-ups. The next day, he read 2 more pages. He kept going, not because he felt motivated, but because the actions were so small. They were hard to avoid, and slowly, something unexpected began to happen. After a month, Ethan wasn't forcing himself to get up 5 minutes earlier anymore. It had become normal. So he added another 5 minutes. The 10 push-ups became 15, then 20. The 2 pages became 5, then 10. He started walking more, then he joined a gym. Not because he suddenly became super disciplined, but because the small habit had already changed his identity. He was starting to see himself differently. Before, Ethan used to say, I'm lazy. Now he thought, I'm someone who keeps promises to himself. And that changed everything. Because every small action was no longer just an action. It was evidence. Evidence that he could change. Evidence that he could be disciplined. Evidence that he didn't have to stay the same person forever. 6 months passed. Ethan's life wasn't perfect. He still had bad days. He still sometimes overslept. He still wasted time. He still made mistakes. But something was different. On bad days, he no longer said, I failed, so I'll start again next Monday. Instead, he did the smallest possible thing. Too tired to work out? He walked for 5 minutes. Too busy to read? 1 page. Didn't want to work on his goal? 5 minutes. Because Ethan had finally understood something. Consistency doesn't mean being perfect. It means refusing to completely stop. And that small difference changed his entire approach to life. 1 year later. 1 year after meeting Marcus for coffee, Ethan looked around his apartment. But this time, it felt different. The same apartment, the same city, the same person. And yet, everything had changed. He was healthier. He had saved money. He had read more books than he had in the previous few years combined. And during all those small daily sessions, he had learned enough to begin building a small online project of his own. But the biggest change wasn't his body, or his money, or his work. It was the way he saw himself. 1 year earlier, Ethan had been waiting for a big moment, a Monday, a new year, the perfect plan, the perfect motivation, the perfect time to begin. But now he knew the truth. Big moments don't always change your life. Sometimes, a tiny decision does. The decision to walk for 10 minutes, to read 1 page, to save $10, to practice for 5 minutes, to start before you feel ready. Think about your own life. Maybe there's something you've been waiting to start. Getting healthier, learning a new skill, improving yourself, starting a YouTube channel, saving money, building confidence. Whatever it is, stop asking, how can I change my whole life? Ask yourself, what is the smallest thing I can do today? Make it so small that you have no excuse not to do it. Because you don't need to be amazing today. You don't need to be perfect tomorrow. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to stop standing still. Get a little better. Learn a little more. Try a little longer. Because one small action may not change your life today, but repeated enough times, it can change who you become. And one day, you may look back at your old life and realize something incredible. You didn't change because of one massive decision. You changed because on an ordinary day, you decided to do one small thing, then you did it again, and again, and again, until those tiny actions created a life you once thought was impossible. So start today, not tomorrow, not next Monday, today. You don't need a huge step. You only need the next small step. Because the person you want to become is built by the small choices you make when nobody is watching. Just 1% better today. That's enough. And tomorrow? Do it again. If this story inspired you, don't just watch it and move on. Take one small step today. And if you want more powerful stories and life lessons to help you become better every single day, make sure to subscribe to American Life Lessons. Because your future is built one small choice at a time. Subscribe now. And let's become 1% better together.